You are now tuned in to the Windy City Benders podcast. This is WCBP.
It's Jarom. It's Tanner. Tanner, what's up, bud?
Nothing much, man. Just having a good time. Just hanging out.
This is the last episode of you as a member of the Windy City.
Yes. Last time I'm not going to be in Chicago next time we record.
That is the end of an era.
Yeah, it'd be great. On to bigger and warmer things. So.
And just getting the hell out of Chicago.
Yeah. Okay, dude.
Which is funny. So I was going on Twitter with the Red Wings podcast for the Hockey Podcast Network. And I forgot how it started, but I was like, and they're like, hey, we love Chicago, the city, if that means anything. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'd rather be in Michigan. And they're like, podcast idea. We switch states and we cheer for our respective teams, though, still. So I'm like, boom, $1 million idea right there. But
go ahead and come and live in Chicago.
And yeah, fend for your life. Although Detroit probably isn't that much better. But anyway, we digress.
Detroit's getting better.
Yeah, it's getting better. So a lot of the same has happened since we last recorded.
Hawks are losing.
I
haven't changed my mind about getting rid of everybody. I was surprised with the,
I can pull those up
with the Instagram results of those.
Yeah. So Tanner,
people were a lot more comfortable with getting rid of Taves than Kane or just the two of them.
So the two questions I put out there, the first one was, is it time to cut Kane, Taves free and rebuild around Brinksy Cat? 7 people said yes, 10 people said no. So it was a really small sample size, but still, it was kind of interesting to see, like, they still have faith in those two, which is also possibly a loaded question because, you're combining the two together. Then I was like, okay, so do you get rid of both Kane and Taves, just Kane, just Taves, or neither? Majority said just Taves.
Yeah.
That's second place was both Kane and Taves, and third place was neither. There was one vote for just Kane, and that was me because I was trying to see what the results were going so far, and I didn't realize it wouldn't pop up like normal. So that answer didn't count.
Hilarious.
So yeah, a lot of people are sick of the captain.
I mean, I don't think they're sick of him. I think when you get implanted in your head of like, hey, if we had to trade anybody, would you trade these guys? And if so, would you trade both or one? And then it's like, I mean, if we had to, like, yeah, I'd probably trade somebody. And I mean, Kane's always producing, so I'd rather just trade Taves. I think when it boils down to it, I don't think anybody's like, we need to do this right away. Like, this should have been done already. I think it's just like, I mean, if that situation pops up, I think that's what we should do. It's like, all right, understandable.
Yeah, but then again, I feel like there's people too that are like, yeah, we need to get rid. I feel like every game you're seeing more from the get rid of Taves crowd, and it's getting super interesting. Like, is he's not producing in the way that people.
He's clearly not $10.5 million worth producing.
No, not at all.
Like, the best thing he's doing out there at this time is winning a lot of faceoffs. And I think that's something that was brought up during the Vegas game recently. They were like, every draw that like needed to be won, like absolutely, Taves was taking. And it did not matter if it was his line or not. It was just like, he'd go out there, take the faceoff, and then get off the ice if he had to. It was just like, ooh, that's not like, that's great and everything.
Well, why are we spending that much money for a guy just to be a faceoff?
Yeah. Right.
So
I think it's funny that like if we were to trade any of those guys, it's like, yeah, we should trade Taves, and it's like, well, that's going to be probably the harder contract to move.
Yeah,
by a lot, actually. Like, I don't know. But yeah, I mean, talking about the games real quick. When we last recorded, we were talking during the Calgary game. The Hawks, guess what? Didn't come back. It's all right.
Could have saw that one coming. So that was lost 4 in a row for the Blackhawks at that point.
Yes.
And it what blew my mind a little bit was Derek King at the end of it was like, yeah, no, we didn't play bad.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I understand a couple of those goals were, I think, was it one or two of those goals were empty net?
I think it was one. I don't remember off the top of my head.
I just, yeah, this team, it's just the easily to say the honeymoon phase of Derek King's over.
Yeah.
The allure of Walter White and, you know, what Ted Laszlo type of situation with this guy, just, you know, loving it, the fact that he's just here to be here type of thing and go have fun. And
yeah, I mean, just the change of pace that like was brought to the locker room, and then they were playing a little bit more free. Like that's all over at this point. Yeah, Oliver Shillington scored an empty netter in the third period, and then Johnny Gaudreau fucking scored again afterwards. It's like great.
He's on fire.
Yeah, Gaudreau, man. Like, what is he? Is it a contract year? Is that what it is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Nasty breakaway the other night too. Holy shit. This is a great play. Sorry, not Blackhawk talk, but what?
I mean, hey, they played. So
yeah. So another thing too, kind of with King, it comes in more in play. I think it was after the Arizona game that he finally showed some like anger and essentially called out the team for essentially
one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, for just not competing, and he said guys have to be better and all this kind of stuff.
So here's what happens. So they do this in the Avs game. So I was at the United Center for the Avs game. And the first period was such dog shit hockey by the Hawks that I was not looking forward to the next two periods. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to watch this. I'm not going to be able to sit here and watch this if this happens again for two more periods. Like, I don't know how long this can continue.
And the good news is it took them a whole 7 minutes to get to let up the first goal.
Yeah, and it was by Erik Johnson. It's absolutely hilarious to me that the Hawks have played the Avalanche twice this year, and Jack Johnson and Erik Johnson have 3 goals between the two of them in the 2 games. I just think it's hilarious because then I'm just like, I can't believe they have the better Johnson duo than us because we have Tyler Johnson and Reese Johnson. It's so annoying. Like, I was not looking forward to the first period went poor, and because Erik Johnson scored, he literally just throws it on net through traffic and just finds its way. Then Alex Newhook just walks his way to the fucking net and just puts like a backhander like top shelf. And I was just like, what is happening? Like, what's going on here? It was just it was uncharacteristic of Fleury to let that backhand in with how well he's been playing lately. And I was just like, this is going towards like, this game is going to go downhill very quickly, and especially with an Avs team that has been scoring lots of goals against anybody.
This team's a wagon again.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. Luckily enough, though, the Hawks came out in the second period and were a completely new team, completely different. I don't know what it was, but they fucking dominated the second period. They were all over the Avalanche, and I was like, okay, this is right back in it. This is exactly how like the Hawks season has been going the entire time. It's like the first 10 games is just like the first period where you're like, this is incredibly painful hockey to watch, and I can't fucking stand it. And then they rope you right back in with rattling off some wins or scoring some goals or playing really well. And like what had happened was the Hawks gave up like 15 shots in the first period and then only had like 7. And then it was like fucking roles reversed. And in the second period, the Hawks had 17 shots and Colorado had 7. And I was just like, bam, shit got frozen, trying to re-record this part. So this is gonna be good. What I think I had said that did not get recorded was that I was telling my wife before the game that I was like, I really hope that Taves gets on the board because he's been looking like he's getting a little bit back into like his mojo. And like we said before, like he's making a lot of money and it's not much production coming out of him, but it's hard to do when you have a whole season off,
Yeah.
and you're still getting back into like how like you were playing. The team's completely different than the last time he played too. So it's just like he's starting to look more like himself. You're starting to see his wheels turning a little bit more too. Like he does look like he's getting a little bit more into his steps. So I was really excited that I fucking called that. I was like, hell yeah, dude. And so then it was great. Like that period ended, and even though they were still down 2-1, I was like, oh, these guys are rolling. This is gonna be a good third period. Like, I think we were going into the third on the power play, or that might have been going into the second. Or we might have done it in both periods. It was actually going into the second. We were on the power play, but at the beginning of the third,
34 seconds into the third, Nathan
no. I'm saying like at the end of the first, going into the second, we had a power play, but then at the beginning of the third period, we got a power play, and it was just Nate McKinnon was just kind of like he was more noticeable as being kind of a dick on the ice than being like a superstar player.
Yeah.
Because this penalty that he took where he just dropped Kurashev as the puck was passing by him, I was just like, yo, what the fuck? Like, all right. And the Hawks were doing okay. Like the power play is very hit or miss depending on who they're playing. They ended up going on a 5-on-3.
Yeah, Tyson,
and I was
Ghost delay game dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And then I was like, hey babe, here comes some Brinksy. And fucking was I right. Oh my God, I was so happy. DeBrincat scores and we're like, yes, we're right back in this. And then literally before the end of the second penalty,
40
scores
seconds,
again.
40 seconds later.
Yep. And he scores again, and the place is then going wild. And I was just like,
baby.
This is like so painful hockey to watch for an entire year, because this game is so much like how the Hawks have been this entire season.
Right.
It's literally everything starts terribly. They start rolling a bit. You start fucking getting into it. Then they get tied up, and like you're like, okay, well, we're still getting a point on this. And then Cale Makar, it's just what?
So Eric Johnson. So first off, Eric Johnson ties it up.
Yeah, fucking Eric Johnson throws it on net. Another one where he throws it on net and scores. Like, that was terrible. But yeah, like I was very surprised with Derek King's choice of starting Doc in overtime, and then I was very surprised that over the time, like that had elapsed in overtime, that he went back with Doc against McKinnon again and Cale Makar. And then one of the things that like I saw, because I was there, was that like, so Cale Makar, all the highlights show him coming from the corner from behind the net, but like what led up to that was Kurashev was on him as he was going to go around the net, and him and McKinnon like swap places, and McKinnon like puts a fucking shoulder into Kurashev's head.
Yeah.
And I see it, and like Kurashev like is like stunned, and I'm just like, yo, what the fuck kind of shit is that? Yeah. Like sets that little minor pick where you kind of like put your body, and he just catches him like right in the chin. And I was like, what the fuck? And then of course Cale Makar comes around and then does a quick little turn and takes Doc for a walk, and then he just like stick handles like 17,000 times in 2 seconds and just goes upstairs, backhand, short side.
The goal was unreal.
It's insane.
But here's my question though too: is does the goal look so much better because Kirby didn't know how to play him from the get go? Like, did Kirby just getting like his shit handed to him, just tripping himself up and all that kind of stuff? That makes it a highlight reel goal.
Well, yeah, like the broken ankles part of it.
Yeah, did that make it? Because clearly he didn't play that correctly at all.
Right. Yeah, he got
the goal. Yeah, the goal.
There.
The whole sequence is like being called goal of the year. I think goal of the year is after he gets past Kirby,
Oh yeah, the move itself,
Yeah.
like to actually score the goal is
Yeah.
good, but it's in order to go from like curling slowly from behind the net in the corner to just quick turn, you're bolting to the net, and Kirby's like, where the fuck did he just go? And then he's like, da 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 da, stick handle, da 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 da, backhand top shelf, and it's like, oh shit. And
Then he puts him in a
when I was
body bag
yeah, when
after
I
the
was
game.
yeah, well, what I was gonna say real quick was I was there and I was just like, oh fuck, like I saw the turn and I go, oh shit, this is about to go in.
Yeah.
And then he did da 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 da, and he goes upstairs, and I just stood there with my hands on my head, and I was like, oh my god, that was insane. And people around me were just like, what the fuck did he just do? It's just like,
People
yeah,
keep the flying in the air, Jackie.
that's Cale Makar. He's got fucking more goals than he would be second on our team in goals if he was on the Hawks. He's got
That's
14
insane.
fucking goals. And not only would he be second on the team in goals, he'd be second on the team with twice as many goals as the person that's second on our team. Like, that's stupid. That's stupid.
And you did those. So for people to listen to this and not watching it, Tanner did the hands up to the head.
Oh, yeah.
The Zegras.
Yeah.
I hope that's an NHL 23. That's a goal celebration. It's just hands up,
it's the Zegras celebration every time he scores, because like there's like the superstar players that have their own celebrations. Like Kaner's got the heartbreak fucking celly. That'd be hilarious. You just get Zegras into the corner and he just hands up.
There's a picture last night of Kadri after Colorado came back, and he's doing the Zegras, and everybody's like, wow, when you're on the other side of a 4-1 comeback.
But that was because Campbell made an insane glove save diving back across.
Was that one? Yeah.
But yeah, then you're gonna bring up the fact that Cale Makar was shitting on Doc.
So basically, after the game, they were talking about it. And he goes, "Yeah, I don't know who that was, but the defender, like just pretty much like no name, Austin Matthews, like who are you? Look at the back of the jersey, type of thing." But oh man, Kirby's got to be pissed. He better like be ready.
Yeah.
He better throw those fists that he threw against Coleman. Next time we play Colorado, better go right for him.
Well, I mean, funny enough, going into the next game, where I was just like, okay, like the Hawks should win this game. And what they decide to do in the first period against Arizona is give Arizona their first multi-goal lead of the season. They've never led by more than one goal until this game. And I'm just like, good on the Hawks for doing that for them.
Why? Why do you have to be this way, Hawks?
Yeah. And it's so, like, you play so well against Colorado for the latter half of the game, and you don't carry that into the next game. Just, I didn't get a chance to catch the first period, but I mean, I can only imagine that the goals were probably nothing spectacular. It's Arizona. They're not really putting up highlight reel goals. They did look like they were moving the puck really well, though, as a team. I mean, they're pretty young.
Yeah.
What I did catch, though, speaking of Kirby Doc and maybe getting fired up, was he fucking scored a nasty fucking goal, batting the puck out of the air, where I forgot who took the original shot.
No, that wasn't Kirby.
Yeah, it was. It was.
So that happened twice that game?
Twice that game.
No shit.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. So what happened was it was a shot from the point. Kurashev gets the puck in front. He gets space, shoots it. The goalie makes an insanely great save. It goes straight up in the air. Kirby just walks in, bats it in. It was insane. And then I think Entwistle scores.
Entwistle scores from
on like a 2-on-1. I think it was. Entwistle, I think, is a solid player. And yeah, man, like it's stuff that we need is, it was a 2-on-1. It's stuff that we need to happen. Also, Taves was the assist, the main assist guy on that. And it goes right into what I was saying before, where it looks like he's getting his mojo back because he's getting his stride, and like his speed is looking like it's getting a little bit higher than it was at the beginning of the season.
Slow and steady.
Yeah, man. Got to get the train rolling. Hawks give up a power play goal because why not? You know, like I
They
think
let up after Entwistle's goal. They ended up letting up 3 unanswered.
yeah, and it would
2 power play goals.
They're well, Phil Kessel is just still good. And I mean, the Hawks like defensively on that penalty kill were just all over the place, and all he does is come in from the blue line slightly to like the top of the circles, and he just feeds a guy right in front who tips it into an open net, and it's just like what like everybody was just watching.
He's officially Phil Kessel's officially a men's league hockey player. Like he's got the dad strength now. He's got the dad like it's officially like he's officially a dad. So like he's
the greatest. He's the greatest men's league hockey player
exactly.
of all time.
Yeah,
he's the greatest beer leaguer of all time by being an NHLer. Fuck man, I can't remember how this Clayton Keller goal is scored in the third period, but what happens? That's shit. Oh yeah, it was just a screen in front, but they called for a challenge. They lose the challenge, so they go on the penalty kill and get fucking scored on again. And I don't think it was a good challenge to call because Fleury and the guy were I think it was Ladd in front, like barely touch. Like he just gets beat short side where he can't see where the puck was going. And then they fucking go on the power play, and it's just Johan Larsson gets fed from across the crease. It was Kessel goes down to Travis Boyd, who's down below the goal line, and he just feeds him straight across, and he has a wide open net. And I was just like, God, this is fucking shit. After that, Jake McCabe scored, which everybody, I think it was originally thought that Taves had tipped the puck, and he just got lucky enough that it went straight through him. Brinksy scores on the power play, and this is the one that I think you were thinking about.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Which was pretty insane because it was Strome down at the goal line on the left side of the net, who bats it out of the air to the other side of the net where it bounces, and then DeBrincat bats it out of the air again, and that goes in. And
he kind of batted it more like the Hossa goal style.
Yeah,
like it was more of like a couple, like a little bit off of the ice, and
it wasn't like
a baseball
hip height or anything. It wasn't hip height or anything. It was like a golf swing, really.
Yeah.
So that, and then that went like over around his shoulder, the goalie's shoulder area, short side, and I was just like, DeBrincat's insane.
I love Brinksy Cat.
He's so money, dude.
Good.
Yeah, and then the Hawks were playing well. I mean, when they were down 5-2, like they were still doing really well, and I was like, they can still fucking come back. I mean, Arizona's not a great team. It just sucks that they ended up giving up an empty netter and lose fucking 6-4. Just like
Johan Larsson's third goal of the season, third goal of the night.
Yeah.
Team had a closed door meeting after that.
Yeah, players only meeting actually. So they come out and play Vegas last night, Saturday night, and everybody was hyping up for it because it's Marc Andre's return to Vegas.
First time.
Yeah, man. And it was just like revenge time. This is what we've been waiting for. And I mean, it was a great game. Hawks actually played well throughout the whole game, I'd say.
Let up a goal 5 minutes into the first.
Yeah.
And
that one just was a wrister from the point that just finds its way through.
Yeah, Fleury said at the end of the game, he's like, because they were asking about it, he's like, yeah, well, that was the one that I wish I would have had back in this game, obviously. And we're like, he's like, but there was only one, so
yeah, I mean, he makes 30 other saves, so he's just so fucking good. Second period, the Hawks get lucky. This is one of those games where Fleury plays really well. Our stars don't really get on the board. The game was played really good between the two teams. There was only one penalty, and it was in the second period. And it was Evgeny Dadonov. Otherwise, there was nothing. The Hawks didn't have a penalty at all. There was a lot of back and forth. But Jujhar Khaira, he got the Hawks on the board. I think it was just like a 2-on-1 where he takes the shot and goes off a laner and just goes far side, and it's just like, fuck yeah, Jujar. Because when I was at the Hawks game, I bought a mystery puck before the game and got the Kara signed mystery puck, and I was like, all right. So then I walked in to the bedroom where my wife was like laying down watching TV. I was like, hey, that mystery puck we just got one more penny expensive. Like he scored a goal. She was like, all right.
Start the retirement plans. Let's go.
Exactly. Just need a lot more goals out of Jujar for that puck to be worth enough. And then I think it was really funny. The Stillman goal that came like 10 minutes later was it. I don't know. Like, I feel like the Hawks don't take enough shots from the point, and like this is the type of shit that happens when you just take shots from the point. Like just put it on net. It goes through the defender and like goes off of his leg, and Laner just reads it as going like glove side, and it goes nowhere near glove side. And it's kind of confusing to me because like having been a goalie, like when the puck is shot from the point and it's deflected near the top of the circles, like I don't know, like I don't know if he had a good enough read on the puck when it came off the stick, but with how close that the defender was to the shot, I was just really confused on how his reaction was going glove side when it went, and then it ended up going short side, because to me it's like there was not enough time to read that puck going glove side, it's really weird to me. I think he was just like taking a guess. That's what it seemed like. And like just gets beat short side low, and I was like, whatever, man. A goal's a goal.
Take it. Especially, we're the Hawks are on a 6-game losing streak at this point. 3 overtime points, but still, like when you're losing and you're not picking up wins, like games like this, we have a little bit more meaning to it because of the whole Fleury situation, all that. It's like you can't really get picky on how these pucks go in at this point.
Yeah. So Hawks ended up winning that game just 2-1, which is great. It's weird. You lose an overtime game to Colorado that you played well in. You lose a game to Arizona, who hasn't won a game by more than a goal this year. And then you go and beat Vegas in regulation 2-1. And, that's just Blackhawk hockey, baby.
It's so damn frustrating.
Yeah. I think one of the funnier things was that recently there a lot on social media was Alan Walsh, who is Marc Andre Fleury's agent, had made a post that was like, for like NHL records being made, Marc Andre Fleury becomes the first goalie in the NHL to beat all 32 teams. And it's just funny that he says that, because it's like, oh yeah, clearly you're just, there hasn't been 32 teams before this year. You're clearly just trying to pump your guys' tires. But not only that, like, he's also wrong. He's just fucking wrong. He's not the first. He's not the first goalie. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. I looked it up earlier.
Okay.
He's not the first goalie at all. He's actually the 6th. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I know there a couple of them.
Cam Talbot,
Thomas Greiss, Jonathan Bernier, Jacob Markstrom, and Martin Jones, I think, are all guys that have beaten all 32 teams already from this year. And then one of the funnier things that I had seen too was somebody had mentioned that it was like, yeah, dude, and Grubauer did it as well, because he's been beating the Seattle Kraken like every time he fucking steps on the ice. So it's like, oh my god, that's good. That's good. A good one. But yeah, so it's just like he's trying to pump his guys' tires, and he's not even fucking right with it. And then people are going and just posting like, oh, like, congratulations, Fleury, for being the first one to do this, but no one's actually like checking those stats at all,
correcting it. Yeah, they're just basically, all they're doing is taking his tweet as using it as the source. Like, that's so funny.
And I'm laughing, like, anytime I see it posted, I'm like looking in the comments and somebody's like, completely untrue, he's the 6th one to do it. And then people are just leaving that up like, well,
hey, we're here.
Yeah, we fucked
That's why
up.
it's like, I was gonna post something on social too, and then I was like, I don't believe you. Like Ron Burgundy Anchorman, I don't believe you. Like,
Yeah, I was just hanging out and I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to hockeyreference.com and you can check career splits on goalies. But for some reason, this might be why though, because for some reason it doesn't have like games played versus Seattle for these goalies, and I don't know why. But if you go into their season stats from this year, you can see when they played Seattle and like if they have a W or not. It's really funny, yeah, because you can pull up Thomas Greiss and then you go to their splits, and it has the amount of times they played teams, how many wins they have versus those teams. Like Thomas Greiss only has one win versus the Islanders in 4 games. Like it's very close to him not having all 32 teams, but it doesn't show Seattle.
yeah,
And then you go to his actual regular players page and you go to just basically game by game. I think even in his last 5 games or something like that. Yeah, his last 5 games. He beat Seattle on the 1st of December. Hey, what's up, Chicago? So it's just like that's hilarious. Like it's an easily verifiable stat that people were just like, I trust Alan Walsh. That guy's rock solid.
the guy who doesn't overreact at all about anything.
The guy, the guy that just posts random shit about Fleury and just tries to get everybody emotionally riled up about it. It's like, all right, fucking love it. Other than that, I think the only other thing that happened this week for the Hawks was Alex Nylander. I think, I mean, we can say like great. It's over now. The
Yeah,
Nylander trade.
yeah, cleaning up the Bowman mistakes and all that kind of stuff.
It's a little upsetting that the whole thing has gone down the way it is. Just going from a first round pick with fuck man, what is his name? Yokiharu. Yeah, and then
The NFL playoffs are here, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, is kicking things off with a huge offer. Counting down to Super Bowl 56, new customers can get 56-1 odds on any wildcard team to win their game. Bet just $5 and win 280 in free bets if your team is victorious. If Sportsbook isn't available in your state yet, you will still have something to play for in the wildcard weekend. Everyone can play for huge cash prizes using DraftKings daily fantasy football contest. DraftKings is giving all new customers a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes with their first deposit. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code THPN. Get 56-1 odds on any NFL team. Bet just $5 and win 280 in free bets if your team wins. That's promo code THPN this wildcard weekend at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit. $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
like bringing him up into the NHL too early and just pushing him and pushing him and pushing him to be something at such a young age, where like I'm trying to remember, like he was just basically drafted. And when the Hawks need young defensemen in order to grow with the team and fill these roster spots instead of keep going out and getting all of these free agents that could possibly work out, may not possibly work out, but overpaying. And Bowman decides, I'm going to do the thing that works every 10 or so trades. And I'm going to get a guy that's a highly touted draft pick that's having trouble in the NHL. And I can basically flip him and get Alex Nylander, who was drafted 8th overall, and he'll work. Like he's going to be such an offensive dynamo. He's going to be great in one of our top 6 lines. And the problem is it's just because of Buffalo. That's what I believe the entire time. It's just like, oh man, there's no reason Alex Nylander shouldn't be in the NHL. It's got to be a Buffalo situation. Like nobody shines in Buffalo. And then fucking Nylander is just so wildly inconsistent that he plays himself off of a team that isn't even playoff like ready and not even like a playoff bubble team. And if you can't do that, it's like a top 10 pick, then like you have no reason to be in the NHL. It sucks that they've been trying to move him for a while. It seems like he's been spent the whole season in the AHL. Last year he was hurt, so he didn't even play. And the return for him is Sam Lafferty, who was a 4th round pick, I want to say. Let me see. He was 4th round. Where is he at? Sam Lafferty. 4th round pick in 2014. He has like less than 100 career games. He's got 21 points. He hasn't had a goal in the last 2 seasons. I don't know what to think, but basically,
Jokiharju. I don't know if I said it already. He comes in, he gets put in COVID protocol.
Yeah,
instantly.
Yeah, it's Jokiharju turns into from being a late 1st round pick into a guy that was taken in the 4th round of 4 years earlier. That, I mean, what's the upside here? It's really just, I don't know, getting
it's just showing at how bad of a prospect and asset management Bowmen was.
Yeah, dude, he was just like looking for cheap home runs, and like I don't know, it's weird. I don't know who was the one that was like, hey, let's make this move, because I feel like our trades within the NHL have not worked out in our favor in a long time. And the only thing that has worked out for us transaction wise is European players.
Yeah, 100%.
That we sign that are undrafted, or that were like Kubalik that was drafted and we traded for.
But that was a minor trade.
And it's like our Euro scouts are amazing. And I don't know who's like suggesting these like North American trades, because we have not really won one in a while.
Let's see, pull up trade history here really quick. All right. Sam Lafferty for Nylander, Curtis Gabriel for Chad Chris.
Yeah.
Subban for nothing.
Yeah, the Curtis Gabriel for Chad Chris is a really weird one too. Like, I don't know if they think we have too many young defensemen in the system.
I think that was a quick pull the trigger after the Kara hit that, oh shit, we have nobody in our team to step up and, and then they cooler heads prevailed and like, oh, well, we don't need him.
Yeah, he hasn't played a game for us. He's literally just sitting in the press box every game.
He's played a couple.
No, he hasn't played for us.
Really?
Yeah, he hasn't put the sweater on yet.
I swore he was. No, he played 2 games.
Not with us.
Yes, he did.
No way. When?
Yes, he did.
When did he do that?
I gotta go in here. His cat friendly to break it down that way.
When did he play 2 games? Hold on, we'll pull it up on Hockey Reference. Those must have been games I didn't catch then, because I swear I don't remember.
I mean, I don't. If he played probably like very minimal minutes. He played January 2nd against Calgary and then December 17th against Nashville.
Did he really?
Yeah, 5 minutes and 24 seconds and 6 minutes and 39 seconds, 7 shifts and 9 shifts.
Whoa. Wowza. Well, I'm wrong. Look at that. I don't know.
I'm looking at the list here. I'm trying to think about like a trade that we've made that has paid off. I think it's still too early to call Seth Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people are already marking that as a loss just because of the contract. I
mean, maybe Zadorov for a 3rd rounder. That's more recent. Actually, like Tyler Johnson and a 2nd round pick for Seabrook. But like these are like we fleeced teams because of their situation. Like Michael Hakkarainen for Marc Andre Fleury, like that was a fleecing. That was just, I'm saying like, I don't know, like an more even trade. The last one I can think of that like we kind of was more on an even scale just because of like the players involved, and we ended up like coming out way ahead was when we got Drake Kajula for Brandon Manning. You remember that? It was like Drake Kajula, who wasn't really fitting, or is more of like a bottom line guy for a guy who's also like a bottom line defenseman, and then Kajula ended up fitting really well with Taves.
Would you say that the first Shaw trade, because we turned it into
that was so long ago though. That was like
I know, like I'm back in 2018. I'm back in 2018, and I'm still like I don't see a trade that I'm like, oh yeah, that was a game changer.
Yeah. I mean, that made our team immediately better.
Yeah, no, but I'm like looking like because you could say that was a good trade, like trading Hartman in Nashville that turned into Bowden
and Kurashev.
That was a win.
Yeah. I'm saying like where we acquired a player.
Yeah.
Like when the scouts like acquired an NHL player that has done well for us. You know?
Yeah, man. I'm like
Hinestroza, getting him from Florida, he came and did pretty well, but we let him walk. Like, I don't know.
I'm down to 2016 and I still Yeah, Shaw. So we traded Shaw, and we got 2 second-round picks. That was Chad, Chris, and
right. But that's not even what I'm saying. Though.
No, I know. I'm just saying it's funny too that we turned half of the Shaw trade into Curtis Gabriel.
Yes. So Curtis Gabriel and Alex DeBrincat for Andrew Shaw.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Philip Deneau for Fleischman and Weiss.
Oh, that was a terrible trade.
Andrew Ladd for Marco Dano.
Yeah, we don't have to go any further back. This is becoming awful. Do you have anything else from like Hawks stuff?
No, it's been relatively quiet. Not too much going on there. It's been it's been a quiet week in hockey in general.
Kind of.
Now I'm kind of like really like going deep down here. 2014, 2015.
So NHL stuff. I think the biggest news NHL stuff wise is Evander Kane gets his contract terminated. I think that's probably the biggest.
For not following COVID protocols in the AHL.
Yeah.
He tested positive and traveled to Vancouver.
That's weird. I mean, that's on brand, but
did you see Pete Blackburn's tweet about it?
Oh, yeah.
Him and Antonio Brown are going to drop the greatest podcast ever.
Yeah. It's I mean, I don't know how hard it is to follow the rules, especially when you're getting paid millions of dollars to just be like, okay, like
you're making more. We've talked about this. You're making more money by playing in the AHL.
Yeah.
And you're allegedly millions of dollars in debt.
Yeah.
You can't play fucking minor league hockey to figure your shit out.
I don't know, man. Gotta love the game. Yeah. Love the game so much. You gotta do weird.
He's done,
shit.
Right? Like, does anybody take a shot at him?
KHL, baby. See you later.
Yeah, but I mean, what percentage of a chance do you think he plays another NHL game?
I don't know. Like, just because you're stupid doesn't make you not eligible to play in the NHL. It's usually like huge assholes. I feel like it would be like something like Pittsburgh gets him on a really cheap deal, and Crosby like is just like, this is my locker room. You either get on the right path, or we can just let you the fuck go. It's like Crosby has the same pull as like Tom Brady, where Tom Brady brought in Antonio Brown. That's why I'm thinking that like Crosby could just be like, yeah, let's get Evander Kane in here, and then he puts up like 45 goals with Sidney Crosby or something like that. That's the thing that Nylander is going to end up doing, is like getting like 30 goals and like 30 assists while he's on Crosby's wing.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Yeah, people are like, he's gonna start putting points. I'm like, oh, Blackhawks, wasted his talent, all that kind of stuff. It's like, I could put up 30 points.
Yeah.
If I'm on the ice with Sidney Crosby.
Yeah, it's the same thing that like anybody that was playing with Gretzky probably had like 60 points or point per game players as like fourth liners.
I always love seeing stats like that for these teams. Like there was one that was going on for a while. It was like Kobe Bryant and some other guy. They put up in one game, they put up 84 total points. Kobe Bryant had 83.
Yeah.
And they're like the greatest teammate performance of all time. Like it's just so funny seeing stats like that.
Yeah, it's like the highest scoring brothers in the NHL are the Gretzky brothers. Like Wayne has 2,000 whatever and Brett has 4.
Yeah.
It's like, yep, okay, that makes sense.
God. Yeah, I don't know. Like I understand. Like, and that's the frustrating thing is because he's so good. Like he is a solid hockey player.
It's the type of player you really want out there. The guy that can score goals, the guy that can play physical and like hold his own.
I would love an Evander Kane type player on the Blackhawks.
Oh God, yeah. Like not afraid to fight. He's physical. He's got speed. He's got skill. He's got a lot of skill.
It's the Marchand. It's the Marchand.
The Marchand, like the Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the guys that you hate to play against. The guys that you hate other teams to have, but you'll love for your team to have. It's awful that like nobody wants them on their team because they can't stand them.
It's going to be very interesting to see too what team picks them up and like kind of how it reacts in the locker room kind of thing. Like, cause you have a feeling that it's going to be one of those things where it's going to have to be one of those things that a GM's going to be like, guys, this can make a difference for us.
Right. I mean, he's gonna. If he's gonna be on a team, I think it's gonna be like something that they talk about ahead of the contract. It's like, hey, listen, if you pull any of this shit, like we will terminate your contract. We'll put it in fucking writing right here. Like if you like do any of this shit like that you've been up to, like, and like I mean, it's things like that because like Slava Voynov is no longer in the NHL because he was a criminal. Like that's the shit that you don't get put on a team for just because you're an asshole.
And he's got a history. He's got a history of being an asshole. Like everybody knows the famous picture of him going up to Buff when Buff was like walking down the tunnel and Buffalo's just giving him the finger as he's walking by. Like people like he's a guy that's not liked in the locker room, I don't think. Like there was reports that like a good chunk of the Sharks were like, if he's back, we're off. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It's I feel like I really hope the saga is almost at an end because it's like every 2 to 3 weeks it's a new Evander Kane story. So we'll see what happens.
Guy's an idiot.
Other big NHL chatter. John Klingberg asked for a trade. I had no idea he was only making $4.25 million a year.
Yeah, and he came out and said, I think he came out, unless it was one of those accounts to like over exaggerating stuff, but he's just like, I wasn't getting fair value from the Dallas in negotiations. Like,
oh, I'm sure. Like he's an assistant captain on their team, so he's a leader, and they're paying pretty big money to like a good chunk of guys that I don't think they could afford another like massive contract, and I'm sure they're
cap friendly right now.
Yeah, like Sagan is making 9.85. Jamie Benn's making 9.5. Joe Pavelski's making 7. Radulow's making 6.25.
They're both up after this year.
Yeah, those two. Heiskanen is making 8.45. Fucking Esa Lindell's making 5.8. And then you have John Kleenberg here sitting at 4.25. And he signed that deal as like, what is this? A 7-year deal. Yeah, a 7-year deal. Like very, very team friendly deal. What he signed it after putting up 40 points in 65 games. Is that how his rookie contract ended? 15-16 is the first year of that contract. So yeah, his rookie contract ended with him putting 40 and 65. Then he put up in this $4.25 million deal, he put up 58 points in 76, 49 and 80, 67 and 82, 45 and 64, 32 and 58, 36 and 53. And then he's got 17 points in 26 games this year. Not to mention when they made it all the way to the Stanley Cup final 2 years ago, he put up 21 points in 26 games. It's pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
man, he's been a rock solid like offensive defenseman for them for a good chunk of time.
I do love too that the fact though that as much as I hate the Seth Jones contract, I kind of love the fact that it's kind of fucked a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Because now that's kind of like the base.
Yeah. It's like, well, if Seth Jones is making 9.5 and if you don't think I'm as good as Seth Jones, then I want off this team. And if you think I'm just as good as him and I should be a part of this team, then I want 9.5 or more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So
that's funny. It's a great bargaining chip for ruining other teams.
So every time, a top tier defenseman gets dealt or not re-signed by their favorite team, I would love to see the fan base. Fucking Seth Jones, you fucking dickhead.
Yeah. And it's fucking great. I think part of it too is like Miro Heiskanen has like done well enough during his rookie contract that them going and giving him almost $8.5 million on his first deal off of his rookie contract, like literally twice as much as Klingberg's first contract off of his rookie deal, that he's probably like, yo, fuck that. Like, are you kidding me? So I could see him being pissed about that shit too.
And it's going to be so interesting to see how these contracts work. Especially now, because like you're getting a lot of these guys, like top tier guys, that are going to be owed contracts before we get to that time frame where the salary cap can go up again.
Mm-hmm.
Like this might cause this league to be the most competitive it's been in a long time.
Oh yeah. And it's funny that I talked about Pittsburgh getting Kane, because I was thinking that Klingberg would probably end up going to Pittsburgh around the trade deadline, because I could see that happening. Because Pittsburgh is the team that I've always said has been doing it right with their window of Crosby and Malkin, and it's like they do not give a shit what their future looks like outside of what is currently happening with Crosby and Malkin. You are making it to the playoffs every year, and as long as you are giving up everything to make it as best as possible, and once you get there, you have Crosby and Malkin that are just powerhouses that can win you games, and they've been just putting the chips around them the whole time to give them the best chance to do it, no matter what it costs for the future.
And look at what Pittsburgh's doing right now, and they're essentially picking up a free player when Malkin comes back, because Malkin still hasn't played yet. So he
hasn't played yet. I thought he started this season.
Did he start the season?
I think so. Okay. I think it was like Crosby was out, and then somebody else was out. Or actually, I might be wrong. Malkin might not have played yet.
I don't think Malkin's played yet.
But especially with how cheap Klingberg is at 4.25, if Pittsburgh goes out and gets him, you have Letang and Klingberg on your top two, or not top two, but like defensive pairing one, right-handed defense or right-handed D is Chris Letang, and then defensive pairing two is Klingberg. Like, that's kind of sick.
That's scary.
Yeah.
Fucking Pittsburgh always finds a way to do it.
That's what they've been doing it fucking right, man. And it's helpful when you have somebody like Sidney Crosby who can take a team's third or fourth line player and get them 25 fucking goals. Like, it's silly. It is insane how good he is.
I mean, it's always the joke with Whitney. He's like, oh yeah, thanks Crosby. Like,
yeah, making him his deal.
Yeah, but another quick signing too. That player coming back, Tuukka Rask.
Yeah.
So he signed a professional tryout with the Providence Bruins, and basically there's talks that he's going to get in game shape. He's going to go play for Team Finland, and then he's going to join Boston for the playoff run. Yeah.
I hope they don't make the playoffs.
I think they're going to.
I mean, it's possible. It's such. I just think it's so dumb. It's like the same thing as like Nikita Kucherov being out the whole year, and then coming back for the playoffs. It's just like, okay, they went out and spent a ton of money on a goalie who isn't really working out for them. I think they're getting more value out of Jeremy Swayman over Linus Ullmark. And then now they're just going to bring Tuukka Rask back into the mix, without cap space, he's just going to come, and I don't know what's going to happen if they move anybody, or like you said, they wait until the playoffs, and then it's just like, oh, now we're however, whatever, who cares, much over the cap because he's back. Like, doesn't matter. It's gonna be it's a weird trend of like, let's say Klingberg fucking plays in Europe until he signs a deal with somebody at the playoff time next year. It's like,
this has got to be talked about in the next CBA.
Yeah.
Like this, there's no way this is gonna like continue to happen.
I would say like whatever if teams go over the cap like in the playoffs, but like make it only a percentage or something. Like if somebody comes back, like you can only be 5% over the cap or something like that. But
and
like,
then, so speaking also too of like roster and cap manipulation, all that, there's been rumors too that Vegas is kicking tires about taking on Ryan Kessler's contract from the Ducks to put him on LTIR so they can use that for Eichel to come back, and they won't have to move any of their top guys to make it work.
I don't know how that works.
I know. I don't. I would love to learn. Like, I would love somebody from Cap Friendly to come on and kind of explain how this works.
Like, how does taking on a contract to put on LTIR give you more cap space?
That's like what I'm like. That's what I always wonder. Okay, so current cap space, deadline cap space. Deadline cap space is the total sum of cap hit values that the current daily cap hit can be increased by to remain compliant below the cap ceiling at the season's end. So when a team is using LTIR, this is estimated as the remaining LTIR salary pool. So it's like, I don't understand. Yeah, I don't understand how it works.
Like right now, like Vegas is 10 million over their projected cap hit is 91 million, and they're 10 million over, but they're using 10 million in LTIR because of Eichel.
Yeah, I don't understand it. So anybody listening that
using
knows how to explain this, and
I don't know.
Their projected cap hit Vegas is 91 million, almost 92. Jesus.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes out, man.
Last thing we have on our list here, Bergevin is being hired as a special consultant to Rob Blake in the LA Kings organization.
Senior advisor to GM. So assistant to the regional GM of LA Kings.
Yeah. I saw something too that he's going to be going into an assistant GM role next year for the Kings. I don't know if that's...
I saw it was like a 3-year contract, so
yeah. I don't know if it's like this year he's this consultant and then next year he's an assistant GM.
Mm-hmm. Probably. I mean, if you bring somebody in at this point in time, I think that they're looking to see how the fit is and like whether or not he does become the assistant GM or not. But yeah, I don't know. LA's a cool team that is in the playoff hunt, and I was thinking earlier, it's like, how cool would it be, or not cool, but if they're about to make the playoffs, what if like we offered them like Fleury for like a first, and maybe to make the cap work, like we'll take back like Quick.
We've talked about this before.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now they're tied with San Jose for that last wild card spot. They have it on points percentage.
Yeah.
I just love seeing Edmonton just...
They're dropping, man. They only won like 3 games in the last like 10 or something like
that. 2-6-2 in the last 10.
Only 2. Good shit.
Look what happens. You lose McDavid.
Yeah, man. For the NHL, it's just like, oh yeah, they only have McDavid and Draisaitl, so let's focus on those guys and see what their team can do. And it's like, oh yeah, they can do nothing.
So 10 points. Hawks are sit 10 points out of a wild card spot right now.
Still a chance.
Still a chance. I mean, anything can happen, but
yeah, I mean, unless they give up now and decide to tank and try and get last place, I don't even know if that's even possible.
Just get comfortable with
that would guarantee them nothing.
because they could still drop down to that third pick.
And that's not protected.
Yeah.
So
fuck you, Bowman. All right.
Yeah.
You got anything else?
Teddy Balkin.
Yeah. That's terrible.
That's a bad story that came out this week. Tragic story of a kid,
JV hockey player,
Teddy Balkin, who played in high school hockey, JV high school hockey in Connecticut, who the stories that are in articles that I've read is that he fell. Another player fell into him trying to avoid but couldn't. The skate of the other player ends up cutting his neck, and Teddy ends up going to the hospital but succumbing to his injuries while they're trying to keep him alive.
Awful.
Yeah, and it's just it sucks because I feel like it's a completely avoidable thing where I thought that high school players had to wear neck guards, but apparently it might just be like an Illinois rule.
So that's for sure an Illinois rule.
Yeah.
I don't know regarding the rest of the country.
National.
Yeah, I'm sure now it's going to probably be discussed as a USA hockey rule.
Yeah, that's why I honestly thought it was a USA hockey rule, but it makes so much more sense to be a USA hockey rule because like it doesn't matter what age you are as a kid, because you don't know how long these kids have been playing. Like some kids just had started, but it doesn't matter, they're still in the same league as you, but they don't have quite as good control over their skates. Like I don't know the situation how it went down, but like if
it's the same thing with beer league. Like there's times where I'm like, I see people that go no face mask or anything, and I'm just like,
you're insane.
What are you doing?
You're gonna catch a stick to the chicklets because this guy just decided to start playing hockey this year and he's trying to lift sticks, but he has no balance, and it's like you better watch yourself. Like play safe. But it's just sad to hear about.
Yeah, so thoughts with him, his family, his friends, his team, and all that. It sucks losing somebody member of the hockey family so young. But I think we'll end it on that. Tanner, what do you want to call it?
I don't know. I lost like any kind of like motivation of like thinking of what to call it after we talked about that.
You took the reins on this one. We're calling this the Tanner episode.
No.
Yep. Unless you got something else. It's the Tanner episode.
Sam Lafferty's the future. No, absolutely not. That's the no more Nylander. Yeah, just call it no more Nylander. Nylander Who?
Nylander Who. So it's something we talked about for very little.
Yeah, man. That's the main point.
Okay. All right. So that's episode 166, Nylander Who, or the Tanner episode. I don't know, whatever I decided to do last minute. Make sure to follow us subscribe to the show, Apple Podcasts, YouTube. Follow us on Spotify, all major platforms for podcasts. Like us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at WCB Podcast, blah, blah, blah. Follow the Hockey Podcast Network at HockeyPodNet, DraftKings, promo code THPN. Yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Yeah, swag up. Love you, boys. Bye.